Dollar General Fishing Challenge. Let's check it out. I may or may not have gotten sidetracked and didn't do the whole walk through the store and find it and all that stuff, but here's a little short from where I found these at Dollar General when I first heard about them. But to save you the trouble of watching however many minutes of going over this stuff, I'll just talk about it through the video. But we are back up here at the little spillway. Just gonna mess around with worms. I do have some smaller hooks, so hopefully I can get a little bit better hookup ratios. So let's get down here and get to fishing. All right, this thing here, the reel itself sucks overall. The one redeeming attribute it has is whatever this plastic is super stiff, so it doesn't flex hardly at all. But it's overspooled with too heavy of a line. It's got a plastic spool. When you reel, the spool wants to jump back and forth like that. And even when the drag is tight, the drag cap is loose. It also has one of these little folding grips or handles, which I don't like. It's loud, it sounds terrible. The rod is about 6 foot, collapsible. None of the guides like sit wherever and you just have to manually place them on a section. They're fixed to each section, so that's one good thing about it. It's insanely heavy, both in physical weight and it's more of a medium heavy rod. Like, this combo sucks already. And this line is pretty much made of pure memory, but a little $15 kit, it's really what you get for 15 bucks. Well, I've got a couple of bites so far, and it is surprisingly sensitive for it being a literal broom handle. But this line is so big for this reel and this rod, like, it casts terribly. It's got probably 12 or 15 pound line, which should be 6 or 8. All right, first fish on. Feels terrible with this rod, but got us a little bluegill. Nothing special. Well, unless, oh, didn't mean to rehook you. So got our picture and get it back. The reel has already worked itself loose, or the reel handle has. This line is absolutely terrible because every time I pull it up out of the water to recast, it's looped around the end of the rod. This is just a bad setup. Another fish. Like, I just tightened the handle down again and it's already slipping. Alright, there's that. We're not going to fish very long. We're only going to stay here for about an hour 20 minutes at most. And I also did bring another rod with me in case I get fed up with this thing, which I'm already there. But this is a bad setup. Now, if you're somebody that don't fish a lot, or you're somebody that just wants something cheap to just throw in the back of the truck or whatever, so that you can just have something and don't have to worry about it getting beat up, it would be a decent setup. But I like nicer setups, so this will not be in my regular rotation as far as rods and reels go. But we're up to 3 fish so far, and a bunch of y'all are saying I need to get longer shank hooks. I went to Walmart this morning, got some longer shank hooks, so I'm not gut hooking them as bad. But this setup is just bad. On top of it just sucking in general, the reel, when you want to reel it, or the spool wants to bounce back and forth like that. This thing where you can fold it is loose and wants to wobble the entire time you reel. It's just not a good setup. Like, even if you wanted something, you know, just to put in your backpack or whatever, there are better collapsible travel style rods than this. Much better ones. But of course, it's a Dollar General setup, so what can you expect? And of course it came from China, so it's not put together very well at all. Another thing with this thing that is just terrible is as you use it, it wants to spool more toward the bottom or more toward the top. That one just came and got it. Not real big, but nothing feels good on this rod. Yeah, I did bring another rod with me, so we're going to give this thing a couple of more casts and probably call it quits for this rod. This rod being so, like, it is to an extent sensitive, but it's so stiff that it's hard to feel the majority of your bites. Finally. I think what I've been feeling, like, I couldn't tell if it's getting a bite or the line. How are you hooked? The line slapping against the rod whenever I'm reeling, but I don't know what the deal is. This setup is just bad. I'm going to finish off this last little piece of worm that's on here and then go to my other rod. And on top of that, I forget to mention this drag, it has a ton of travel in between clicks and it's very inconsistent. Like one click, two clicks, that it could be either dead loose or tight. Like there's no in between. Well, that is the end of that. I'm done with this rod and reel. I want to go on to something that's usable. Oh, this thing is just garbage. Would I say this is worse than the rod and reel combo that I did a couple of videos on from Walmart? That's the worst rod and reel whatever combo at Walmart. It's a trout magnet deal, which was a fake trout magnet setup. I'm gonna say it's tied. It's pretty bad. So we're going a good portion of money up in quality. Stratic 1000, 6-cent stash stick. I can actually feel bites with this one, and it casts halfway decent. Gotcha. Just casting around the end of this little rock wall here with a little 1/80th ounce jig head by Mule Fishing and a piece of a pink trout magnet. And it immediately started getting hammered. Alright, let's see if we can do that again. Oh, official danglefish. I'll just screenshot one of my other ones. But my line was hanging over just the very end of that little bush right there. And this little dude came up and took it to Hammertown. There we go, little bitty dude. Now I'm about to get rid of this little piece of worm because it is not doing me very much good at all. Hey, finally hooked up with one. Maybe these worms ain't that wore out after all. I don't have a clue which way you're hooked. Now that one just choked it down before I even realized it was on, so yeah, you get to retie again. Anyway, might as well go over the little kit that comes with this little rod and reel thing from Dollar General. The hooks are decent quality hooks. They are needle sharp. Like, they are really good stout hooks. You know, whether or not they'll hold that point, I don't know, but they are really sharp hooks. The downside is they come with these plastics, which are fairly stiff, and these curly tails, as you can tell, the hook is almost bigger than the curly tail. It also comes with some of these little purple claws. The hook is also almost bigger than the claws, so the plastics that come with it are more or less useless. Now, these hooks would actually come in handy if you were, say, channel catfishing, maybe live bait fishing or something like that, because that is a pretty stout little hook. It comes with some split shots that are stuck together. Yeah, there's just trash split shots. Snap swivels, which I don't use, period. And a couple of bobbers, which are probably the most useful thing in this entire kit. So yeah, that's about it. Nothing spectacular whatsoever. There we go. That didn't take very long at all. Probably the biggest one of the day. I don't know what I did with the split shots that I brought with me, so I took one of them that was in the kit and just clamped it down onto the hook itself, so don't have to worry about it coming off or losing it. But yeah, I really wish I had just got some size 8s instead of the 6s, because I'm still getting short struck by a bunch of these fish. And there goes my worm. Oh, that one feels pretty nice. And this is a medium light rod, so it's a little bit stiff for bluegill anyway, but ain't too bad. We will definitely take it. I may or may not have found where the slightly bigger bluegill are. It appears that they're just about halfway between here and that little branch, or not little, that whole tree that's hanging over down yonder. I tell you what, it ain't as hot as it was yesterday, and it was friggin' hot. But it is sure enough a sticky one today. Kind of like if you just stepped out of a hot shower and straight into your clothes without drying off. Well, we are going to call it quits. Nothing has been biting really. Like, I got a couple of bites on this little panther martin, but the worms have since become useless. So yeah, we're going to pack up and I'll see y'all back to the vehicle. Alright, well, didn't catch a whole heck of a lot and nothing was any real size, but I really just wanted to get a feel for this rod and reel combo thing from Dollar General before making a straight up opinion on it. And it's bad. It's, if you can't tell already, it's just bad. First thing we'll look at is this little screw off cap on the butt section here. Absolutely useless because the rod comes down to the very end right there, so you can't put anything in it. Very short butt section, so it's very tip heavy, on top of just being very heavy in general. But this rod, like I said, it's very heavy, like physical weight, and it's a very tip heavy rod when you're holding it, and the action or the power of it is very close to like a medium heavy, if not a heavy. This thing is a freaking broomstick. It's a telescopic rod, which has its plus sides and its downsides. If you just want something that's compact, and you know, you can put it in the backpack or in your console or something like that, it has its advantages. It's okay for that. Now, if you want a telescopic rod that's more sensitive, lighter weight, and just more ergonomic, you're better off checking this right here out. It's the Quantum telescopic rod. I've actually had one of those, and those are really good rods. They're not super strong by any means, but they're really good for like panfish, crappie, you know, little small stuff like that. But the one thing that this telescopic thing has going for it is, You know how some of them have little guides that you have to manually place and they just slip wherever. All of these guides are fixed to each individual section, so all you have to do is extend it and align them. Other than that, there's no specs on it whatsoever, nothing. The reel is just straight up garbage. Actually, it was probably offensive garbage to compare it to this reel. Plastic spool, I don't trust plastic spools on any reels. I don't care what brand they are, where you get them, or anything. The drag is very inconsistent. Like, you can tighten this thing all the way down and the drag cap is still loose. And when you're reeling, I don't know if I talked about it in the video, but when you're reeling, let's see if you can even tell. I don't know if y'all can tell that or not, but as you're reeling, the spool wants to jump back and forth. And what that is the drag. The drag on this thing is trash. Like, it could be completely loose, you turn it 2 clicks, and it could be super tight, vice versa. But even when this thing is super loose for a little bit, and then it gets really tight, like right about there is where it gets tight, and then it loosens up. Hopefully y'all saw that little catch. It's also pre-spooled with like 12 or 15 pound mono, which is terrible. If you want to build a small telescopic rod that's more user-friendly, 8 to 10 pound is going to be your best bet. This thing also doesn't spool line consistently at all. You know, as you're fishing it, it may spool more toward the bottom, more toward the middle, or more toward the top, giving you a lot of issues with knots. Also has a bunch of that back slap, which I can't stand. And like I probably said, it's got that little plastic switch that lets you fold up the reel. Do not like that at all, because all of that little hinge right there is plastic, and even with the handle tightened down, that whole section is just, it's all kinds of loose and wobbly. Other than that, 15 bucks for this little kit. You're getting what you pay for, and really hot garbage is what you're getting. Now, in saying that, you can bet that I am going to go to some store and spend a maximum of 15 bucks and build, more or less, a better rod and reel combo kit with a couple of lures and stuff like that. That's just going to be higher quality and just more user-friendly. And it probably won't be a telescopic rod, because not a lot of places sell telescopic rods in stores anymore. But if you ever come across one of these things in a Dollar General, avoid it. You can go to Walmart or wherever and get a kit that's better quality for about the same price. Anyway, this outro has gone on a little bit longer than I want, but to kind of make up for the lack of the rest of the video. So I'm going to put this little thing back where it belongs, and that is the back of my vehicle. Hope y'all like this video. I know we didn't catch a whole heck of a lot. We caught fish. That's all that matters. We'll see you in the next video.